Wish I was back in 2009, playing inFAMOUS 1 all the time. It was fun, it was great, so good to me. And then in comes inFAMOUS 2. It was fun when it was new, but over time I realized it's kind of lame. Then Second Son comes along, Sucker Punch, it's time to right your wrong. I'm so hyped, but wait. So why'd you have to rain on my parade? inFAMOUS Second Son was the worst game you made. So this is why we can't have nice things, SP, 'cause you break them, and then you take them all away. And now we're looking at Ghost of Tsushima. Did you think you could forget about the best series you ever made? And this is why we need Cole back.
I can't even say it with a straight.
Taylor Swift reputation out now.
Alright everybody, let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch's new game, their new IP, their game that is not inFAMOUS. Will the inFAMOUS series continue? We don't know. Maybe Sucker Punch will pick it up again later, although that seems sort of unlikely because game developers usually don't do that. Well, at least not small development teams such as Sucker Punch. Maybe it'll be handed off to a different developer. Maybe they'll make it better than Sucker Punch could have. Maybe they'll make it worse. We don't know. But to be honest with you, I sort of have a feeling like nothing is ever going to happen with the inFAMOUS series because, like, not that it isn't popular, but it's not quite popular enough. So it might just be forgotten, unfortunately. Anyways, that song bit, the Taylor Swift song bit at the start, that was really just a joke. Just a funny thing I thought up to do. The truth is, that's not really... I'm pointing my mic more in my direction now. I hope it's... I don't know, maybe sounds a bit more clear? But that's not really my opinion on Ghost of Tsushima. I'm actually a little more positive about it than you may have been led to believe by that sort of song bit I did. Anyway, so what is Ghost of Tsushima? It is an open-world samurai game made by Sucker Punch, of course, and they've been working on it ever since they finished inFAMOUS First Light, which is like 3 years now. Actually, they said they've been working on it for 3.5 years, so I guess technically they started working on it after they finished Second Son. So what can we tell from the trailer? Well, really it doesn't give us much other than like graphics and atmosphere. They sort of show gameplay at the end-ish, but it's not like gameplay. Anyways, just based on the trailer, honestly, I think it looks like a good game. I'm definitely interested in playing it based on that trailer. The game is beautiful. I know that's a cliche thing to say, and it's especially ironic because it's a Sucker Punch game, and their last game was basically just beautiful and no substance to it. Now, I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me, and feel free to disagree. I literally couldn't give less of a shit. Many inFAMOUS fans like Second Son the most. Go ahead, I don't care. I don't, though. I think everyone knows what I think about it, unless this is the first video of mine that you're watching. So, okay, I will briefly explain to you my thoughts on the inFAMOUS series. The first game is awesome, one of my favorite games of all time. Second game is a pretty good game, but it's a disappointing sequel. Second Son, the third game, is... Okay, here's the thing. Everyone thinks that I hate Second Son. I don't hate Second Son. Second Son is a good game-ish. It's just not... It doesn't feel finished. Second Son has great graphics and a really fun moveset of superpowers, but it seems like everything else in the game was rushed. Anyways, I should get to the point on Ghost of Tsushima faster because I am literally losing subs over the announcement of this game. Thanks for being loyal, everyone. You make me real proud that you're only here for inFAMOUS. Okay, so here's the thing though. Based on the trailer, Ghost of Tsushima looks great. Now, you might be wondering, am I mad that they're not continuing inFAMOUS? Well, that's a bit complicated because, in a way, yes, but at the same time, I'm sort of glad because I think as they went on with the Infamous series, they sort of messed it up more and more, and maybe they need a fresh start and to just do something completely new. And maybe they won't mess it up, maybe they will further down the road, maybe they'll start it off bad, who knows. But I would rather look at this as a fresh start for Sucker Punch, so let's just forget that they ruined Infamous and see if they can make Ghost of Tsushima a good game. Let's not even focus on Ghost of Tsushima being a good series, just a good singular game, okay? Let's not even think about sequels yet. We really have no idea how it will turn out at the moment. It could be good, and maybe it won't be. What I do want to talk about, though, is what I can sort of see so far on what might be indicating of the quality of the game, which is this interview that Sucker Punch gave. Well, two people from Sucker Punch, Nate Fox, and I'm really sorry I forgot your name, like, honestly. I mean, we follow each other on Twitter. Jason Connell. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Anyways, they gave this interview where they talked about the game, and here is what honestly gets me kind of worried, is the things that they talked about are like exactly the same as the things that they chose to talk about for Second Son, which is the graphics and the fantasy of being a samurai in feudal Japan. Like, isn't it just amazing? Like, just the idea of it, like, we don't have to say anything more. It's just amazing. Like, don't you want to play that? Don't you want to be a samurai in feudal Japan? Like, they said the same exact shit for Second Son. They said, I mean, wouldn't it just be so cool to have superpowers? And like, with these graphics, we're just making it feel real. Like, you have powers and you're going to enjoy your power. It's just a fantasy of being this hero and like choosing to be good or bad. Like, it's just this fantasy. It's so great. And I feel like we got a lot of that in this new interview about Ghost of Tsushima, so that worries me that they're choosing to talk about the same things that they talked about for Second Son. So hopefully they aren't making the same mistakes, because here's the bright side of things. Based on what we know of the development of this game, they aren't making the same mistakes at all. They have been hiring a lot of new people, one of them, maybe even more of them. I haven't really kept up to date on them, but one, maybe more, like I said, is a writer for the story. Second Son didn't have a writer. The first Infamous had a writer. The second Infamous had like 3 writers, but they weren't really credited as a writer. Second Son, I mean, technically, yes, people wrote the story. I think it was mostly Nate Fox, but no one is credited as a writer for Second Son at all, if I'm remembering right. So they're taking some more care into the story, we know, which is good, because the story was one of the weakest points of Second Son. Again, I know a ton of people disagree with me on this. I don't care. Live your life. Like Second Son as much as you want to. It doesn't hurt me. Anyways, so they have someone actually hired and like designated to be the writer of the story. So they're putting more care into that than they did in Second Son, which is a very good sign. Second is how much time they are spending working on this game. They've been working on it for 3.5 years so far. Second Son was worked on for 3 years. So they've already worked on Ghost of Tsushima longer than they worked on Second Son, and they just announced it. Second Son was worked on for 2 years before it was announced. And then I would guess that Ghost of Tsushima is probably coming out, I don't know, maybe summer or fall of 2018. That's just my guess. If it is earlier, that's great, honestly. Anyway, so let's sort of talk about some specifics of what they said the game will actually be. It's open world, just like Infamous is. You get the whole island of Tsushima, Japan, and it's, you know, set in the historical time period, I think they said, of the like Mongol invasion and samurais and stuff. Honestly, I don't know too much about the history of it, so don't judge me on that. From what little bit we saw of what looks like combat gameplay-ish, I mean, it looks cool. Looks like it has a cool moveset, just like Second Son. Like, honestly, I would be surprised if this game doesn't have fantastic graphics throughout and a great moveset like Second Son. I think it's it's almost guaranteed that the game will have that, because they did it with Second Son. They're spending more time on this. I'm sure they can get that down. I'm just, still somewhat worried about the rest of the game. Anyway, so they've been working on this game for 3.5 years so far. They'll probably put like half a year to 1 more year into it before it comes out. So you already, I think they're even working on this longer than they did the first Infamous. And when they made Second Son, we don't technically know this, but you can tell based on how the game came out and the quality that it was in and stuff. They spent a lot of time on the graphics for Second Son. They probably spent most of the development time on the graphics and the concept of the game, I guess I would say. And they were making graphics and a engine for a totally new system, the PS4, of course. Now, they've already made a PS4 game before, so I would think that they can get through the graphics sort of faster with Ghost of Tsushima and then focus on making the actual game. And it is a open world action stealth game, they said. Looks like we'll have some actual stealth, which is sort of nice to see. I mean, there's a lot of open world action stealth games out there, but I think Sucker Punch, something that they're always good at in all of their games, are just making games that feel good to play. So I highly doubt that the game won't just, have fun combat and stuff. They said something about interacting with the people on the island and stuff. Now, we don't know what this means, because they've said that for every Infamous game, and there's been varying degrees of actual meaningful interaction. Usually not that much, even in the first one, let's just be honest here. So it would be cool if they sort of up the, NPC interactions and side quests. That's somewhere where I think Sucker Punch really should improve, with their games in general, and hopefully they do. But we don't know. They gave a very vague explanation of that here and, haven't shown anything. Something else that's also very interesting that they said, or at least seems to say, I'm not quite sure if they mean exactly what they said, but they said something like there's no waypoints in the game and you sort of just, explore and figure it out on your own. If that's true, that is awesome. And that right there, that sells me on the game. If the game has that and does it well and, has fun gameplay and an interesting story, then I will probably love this game. That being said, Sucker Punch has been known to make promises about gameplay features Second Son that they talked about near the announcement of the game, but then they weren't in the actual game at all. For example, in Second Son, they talked about something called civilian AI bubbles or something, where when the civilians walk away from you, the game keeps track of them and what they have done to interact with you, and it makes a dynamic world. When the game came out, it's very obvious that that's not true at all, and they literally just have the same system they've been using since the first Infamous in there. I did title this video Ghost of Infamous, now didn't I? And that's sort of, it's a play on words, but it's to mean that, hey, maybe Ghost of Tsushima will actually be really good. I mean, it's an original game, just like the first Infamous, and the best Infamous was. It's not a sequel, it's completely fresh, and hey, maybe it'll be a great sort of spiritual successor to Infamous. I hope so. I'm interested to go into this new world, this new fresh world that Sucker Punch is doing. I hope that the freshness of it makes them a little more creative and make better content than was in, Second Son and Infamous 2. But we don't know yet. The interview they gave is somewhat scary just because of what they chose to talk about. It's very similar to what they talked about for Second Son, so I'm sort of feeling uh-oh, is there not any growth here with, that? But here's the thing. Why was Second Son the way it was? Because it was rushed. That's what I think. I think it's really not Sucker Punch's fault, as much as it is Sony pressuring them to get it out fast. And honestly, they did a really good job for, not having enough time to make the game, but it shows. I would say that I am cautiously optimistic about Ghost of Tsushima. I'm definitely looking forward to it, but I'm also seeing some signs, that it might not be much better than Second Son. It might have some of the same flaws, and we will just have to wait and see, but I'm definitely interested in it, definitely gonna get it, And I really hope that Sucker Punch can pull this off and make it an awesome samurai open world adventure. Second Son was just a big disappointment. And I just want to be, like, real with you guys here that, I don't know, like, I really hope this game is good, and if anything could, make it better, I think it would really be Cole coming back to life!